Hey everybody, this is Pastor Shane Perry again. Earlier I was talking about 1 Peter, the 5th chapter, verse 6 and 7, and I was talking about humbling yourself, about coming to an even place, about submitting to God's ability to bring you out of what you're in, and also that when you humble yourself, it means to come even, and that God has the ability to bring you to an even place, financially, mentally, spiritually. It's almost like starting over, if you will. But as you continue in this line of teaching, he says, humble yourself, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, which I've always had a problem understanding, because why would I want to be under his hand? And when I investigated this a little further, I found out in the essence of the Greek, what's actually being said is the Lord is saying to humble yourself into the palm or the center of his hand, which then leads us to the next part, that when you get in the center of God's will, which is what the connotation is here, God then takes you in his hand and lifts you up to a higher place. And I believe that God is getting ready to raise us up to a higher place, to use a modern church colloquialism, if you will. But let's go a little further. It says in the next verse, to cast your burden on the Lord, for he cares for you. And there's two things here. One, I believe that pride keeps us from really trusting God. And pride is an interesting thing. If you relate it to a worm that's in an apple, it seems like when you see a hole where a worm has been in an apple, it appears that the worm has born its way in. But the truth is, a worm actually is born or begins the process of birth in the bulb of an apple. So when the apple is first forming, the worm, if you will, he starts to the birth process there. So what happens next is, as the apple maturates, so does the worm. And the worm starts growing as it feeds its way out of the apple. And this is what happens with pride. We all have to deal with it. We all think we know. We all think we have it figured out for the most part. And if you don't deal with pride, it grows as you grow, which means when you get some money, you change. And really, you're just becoming more of what you already were, because the seed of pride was already there. You get an office or a position, and you start thinking you're untouchable, when all actuality, it's this pride that's been festering inside of you that's never been dealt with. And this pride puts us in a position where we don't trust God anymore. That's why the scripture said, cast your burdens upon him, for he cares for you. When you get to a place where you realize you can't figure it out, then you take this burden, you place it on God. It's really the cure for anxiety in your life. And you can finally come to a place of peace, because you know God has the power to bring you out of whatever you're in. You've tried to fix it and it didn't work. You've tried to reach out to people that you thought could help you and they couldn't help you. Isn't it time that you take peace, man, that you cast this thing on God and let him turn this situation around? I love Isaiah 26:3. Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee. I've quoted this my entire life, and I never read the rest of that verse. I don't know why, but I never read the rest of it. And one day in my lowest season, God instructed me to read the entire verse. The B portion says, because he trusteth in thee. You can have perfect peace when you trust the Lord with your struggle. Trust him with what you're going through, whether it's financial, spiritual, physical, mental, family issues. Cast that burden on the Lord, and you're going to get some sleep tonight, I promise you. Isn't it time to just get some rest and get this weight up off of you? I'm praying for you today, and I hope that what I'm saying has been a blessing to your life. Love you, appreciate you, and I'm really seeking God on your behalf. God bless. We'll talk again soon.